Welcome to the Facts versus Feelings podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Detrick, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sonu Varghese.
Cutting through the noise in 30 minutes each week with Ryan Detrick, Chief Market Strategist, and Sonu Varghese, VP Global Macro Strategist. Taking out the boring and helping investors focus on what really matters. A quick note before we start the show. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Carson Partners, a division of CWM LLC, is a nationwide partner.
And we are back with episode 106 of Carson's Facts versus Feelings. Ryan and Sonu. Sonu, we are so excited. We're in Omaha. We are joined by none other than Warren Buffett.
Himself,
Warren,
in
thank
flesh.
you for being here.
It's great to be here, guys.
Yes. We just came back from McDonald's now. Really pumped to have Josh Brown. I have his book in front of me.
CEO and founder of
Yes.
Ritholtz. We
So I was
like
I'm
titles.
trying to figure out,
I think-
how do we introduce him?
I think it's safe to say I put the buffet in Buffett.
So I'm just going to read the back cover of the page. Few people are as wise, informed, and funny. You just saw that as Josh Brown. And,
Yeah.
the book
I
is
paid
fun
Morgan
as
Housel
well.
to say that.
But no, we're pumped to have you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, obviously, this is your favorite podcast, so it took 106 to get here. But
course.
thank you for being here, Josh.
First
So-
invite. Just saying. Just saying.
Well, that's
first
true.
first invite.
That is true. I was on your podcast back in February.
That's
so
right.
Thank you for
So-
that. And I do want to give a genuine thank you because after that, this podcast blew up. So,
Well, I mean,
Yes, we
it's
really
a
appreciate
high quality
that.
show, and people discovered you
yeah.
that hadn't heard your show before, and they said, "This guy Ryan, what else is he doing?"
I think they
and that's
came-
how it should work.
Yeah, they came for Sonu too. They probably said, "Oh, this other guy's pretty smart," so they just come. I make
good
the
or worse.
laughs, and there we go. So,
Right.
so Josh, again, what are you in town for? We're in obviously Sonu lives in Chicago. I do live in Cincinnati. We work for Carson Group, one of the largest RIAs in the country. You obviously founded an RIA. What are you doing in town?
I am here to speak at the Nebraska Financial Planners Association, and this is their annual wealth conference. So we're here at Creighton College, and I got to talk to a room full of financial planners about what I think are the most important things to consider as we go into 2025.
Awesome. So we're going to definitely dive into some of those things. You do so many of these. I came up with some questions maybe you haven't had before. We're going to title this one "Talking About Anything and Everything" with Josh Brown. First things first, your daughter's in college. How are things going for her down there in Florida?
It's a really good question. She took a picture in front of DJ Khaled the other day at Club Live, and
It's going well, huh?
and
Clearly.
texted it to me at 2 a.m. and said, "Dad, are you so proud of me? I got into Club Live." So that's how things are going at college for her so far.
How
But,
did you react?
dude, I don't even. It's my first kid to go away. I have no idea what's going on. I get the Uber alerts.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm following her on Life 360. She knows how to turn it on and off. It's not going great. I think she's doing well.
Good.
I am still making the adjustment.
My daughter's 17 in a couple weeks, and we use green light, right? She's, "Dad, send me money." I
Green
talk to her
light,
once a
right.
day, and she's like, "Give me some money," and she sends on green light. But my first, real question, obviously you started a very successful company, super busy, wife, kids. What is one bit of advice for someone who truly has pulled all those ways? How can you truly be a family man and start what are you, $5 billion? What are you guys up to?
Yeah.
Congrats on that, by the way. $5
Thank
billion
you.
Congrats.
RIA. How do you do that?
So for me, it was not hard because it's the only thing that I really love to do is to write and communicate and follow the markets. So when I'm working, it doesn't really feel like I'm working all the time. It's not that means it's not hard or I don't have bad days or we don't go for months, struggling with a particular problem to solve. But it's not like something I have to do for a certain amount of hours a day. And then I get to go off and do what I really want. This is what I really want to be doing. And it's been that way since the beginning. It might change at some point. But for right now, if you see me doing a podcast with my friends Ryan and Sonu, or I am speaking on a stage somewhere or I'm on TV, trust me, I made the decision. I'm doing the things that I myself want to do. No one's making me do any of this stuff. So that's a really big ingredient is to just pursue the thing that you actually want, and then it won't feel like you're working quite so
So I
hard.
have one more, Sonu. Sorry, I could
Yeah.
talk all day. You wanted to go to Mahogany last night, which is a good steakhouse in Omaha. You've obviously had the best steaks in New York, everywhere. Where'd Mahogany rank, you think?
rank like globally or?
Oh, you tell me. Just how happy were you when it was over?
Maybe
Yeah,
with and
globally,
with
let's
and
be-
without New York. You know.
I have a sort of embarrassing confession. I ate 3 steaks yesterday.
Oh, wow. That's
Now
it.
everybody. Now a lot of people know.
All right, so here's what I did. So I got off the plane. I went to Block 16, which is
Okay.
in downtown area. Everyone said it's like the most legendary burger.
Okay.
But then when I went up to the front counter, I'm like, I've never been here before. I might never be back. Do I get the burger or do I do something else?
Yeah.
And she said, you got to get the Sloppy Nick.
Oh.
Sloppy Nick is basically it's a Sloppy Joe, so it's like technically not a steak, but pretty much a steak.
Okay.
It's red meat. Anyway, demolished it. Like 3 hours later, I end up at Mahogany Prime.
Yep.
Okay.
I meet Eric and Rusty from Orion,
Right.
and I eat there. And then this is the worst part. I had somebody else to meet with, and we ended up meeting at 801 Chop House.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
one.
So like
Yeah,
this is
that's-
the
okay,
this is the funny part. I ate a petite fillet for the last. So inside of like 7 hours, I had 3 steaks, and
Welcome
I'm
to
going
Oma- welcome to
back.
Omaha.
There you go. That's quite the first experience in Omaha.
I'm going back for a steak shortly after this. So.
Wow. I don't even know what to say after that, Josh. I mean, so
Well, that's
ask
me
something.
pursuing
I mean,
my
there you go.
passions.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
There you go. 3 steaks in Omaha. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you mentioned you're here for the Financial Planning Association conference, and I think you play a unique role, which is like you sort of commentate, do commentary on the industry, but you're part of the industry too. You do all of it, right?
I'm a player coach.
Right, player coach. Yeah,
Like
right,
Pete,
player
Pete
coach.
Rose. That's on the Reds board.
Like,
Pete
is there any
Rose, yeah.
tension between that, or
Jackie Moon.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, there's tension. I can no longer speak as freely as I used to because everything I say is now being read and repeated and misconstrued and kind of put through this blender of opinions amongst people that we do business with, vendors to the firm, potential customers, potential partners. So I try to do my best to not when I talk about something and I want to be critical of it, I really try my best to not make it personal, and to just if I have a difference of opinion from other people in the industry about how to do something or the way to invest or the way to hire or something, it's not about I'm right, you're wrong, or this person's bad and I'm good. Sure. I really work very hard to be diplomatic and to make my arguments from a professional standpoint. Now, of course, everyone takes everything personally, myself included. I'm not one to talk. If somebody criticizes something about the way we do something, it's like you slap me in the face.
Like you only
it's all
had you
personal.
only had 3 steaks.
So
yesterday.
I don't.
Should have had 4.
Yeah, so I don't know that I definitely have that part figured out. But I think by keeping it about systems and cultures and processes and procedures and not about people,
sure?
I think that I'm able to thread that needle.
So right now, I think, Josh, over at the Dell in Coronado Island is the Stocktoberfest. I have a little history with that place, as do you. This obviously a lot of financial advisors listen to this. A lot of people with Carson. Everybody kind of knows your origin story. But just quickly, how was Stocktoberfest, and how did your origin story happen there?
Great question. I flew out there in 2010 with like literally not a penny to my name, and I had been writing the blog for a while. I was a retail stockbroker, so sort of like a fake financial advisor is the way to think about that. Basically, I was really good at selling investments to people, but I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing, and certainly wasn't doing financial planning or true wealth management. But I had a point of view. My point of view was basically the whole financial world is melting down, and in its place is going to be people that actually care about their clients.
And this was
And-
2010.
Yeah, well, I started in 2008, so I spent 2 years basically railing against the brokerage industry and the sales culture and the perverse incentives, etc. Through that writing, I connected with Barry Ritholtz, and Barry was my idol at the time, still is in many ways, and I was determined to meet him. And Howard Lindzon, back then they weren't calling it Stocktoberfest, they were calling it Lindzon Palooza. And Howard said, "Do you want to come to the Palooza? It's Coronado Island." I don't even know where that was. I had to look. I had to Google it. But but come out here because all the other finance bloggers are coming. Eddie Elfenbein, Tadas Visconta, like all the people who were writing blogs. So I needed to borrow money from my father-in-law in order to do the trip. I literally couldn't afford a plane ticket. I had a 2-year-old. I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and basically almost no income. I had been trying to transition out of the brokerage business, but I didn't know where to transition to. So I was just kind of trying to figure it out. And my father-in-law said, I told him the situation, and I'm like, I don't have $700. Like I can't, So he's like, you have to go. If you're idle, the person you look up to, the person you want to work for is there. You got to go. So I did it. I met Barry in the first 10 minutes. I set foot on the Del Coronado grounds, and we got to talking, and the rest is history. And to this day, I tell people when they ask me, like, what should I do career-wise, or how do I figure it out, or anything, I always say invest in your own career before you invest in anything else. And no matter what it takes, when an opportunity comes along, take it. Like, take the chance, because you won't be able to do that later in life.
Well, that's awesome. My story, I've said it a couple times. The quick version is I was unemployed, 2015, broke, didn't have a job, interviewed a lot. Howard reached out to me and said, hey, come to Stocktoberfest. Similar. I said, I don't have a dollar to my name, Howard.
Yeah.
And he actually, next minute I know, they sent me emails. They bought me a flight. I don't know who did it. Somebody did it. They got me a flight. They got my room. Long story short, met some people.
And that was me.
Thank you for pulling the strings, Josh. I didn't know that. I thought it was Howard the whole time.
It's like, now you got to buy him a fifth steak.
But I did meet a LPL financial advisor, connect me with a gentleman named Bert White, who is currently the president at Carson here. So
shout out to Bert.
Yeah, shout out to Bert. Bert's hired me twice now. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he hired me at LPL, then he rehired me when he came over to Carson. So you just never know. But obviously Howard has impacted so many people, including you and I. And I guess that back porch, the deck, kind of a lot of deals, and a lot of fun have been happening there at the.
Networking is. I don't know if it's underrated, but it should be more highly rated. Is the way I would phrase it. And one of the things we try to do with our event, Future Proof, we doubled down on the experience and the networking, and everything flows from there. Once you get thousands of people together who are all trying to improve their career or get better at what they do or find new opportunities, there's a magical thing that happens if you facilitate that in a productive way. And that's really like the ethos behind the whole event. It's not that we don't care about the content we put on stage, but everybody has good content on stage. So the aspect that we really wanted to double down on is giving people a chance to meet other people who could potentially open up opportunities.
Now, I'm a big believer in serendipity, but you have to put yourself out there, and then
you're not going to have serendipity if you're not in the way of it.
Yeah,
I agree.
know, absolutely. Speaking of, you started this iteration of your career by writing, but I think that writing sort of shifted, right? I mean, obviously you have a ton of things to do as the CEO of Ritholtz right now, massive firm. How has that shifted? And I know you're not on X anymore, or you've shifted out of Twitter, X, whatever you call it.
What is this X of which you speak? I'm not familiar with this. I quit X before it became X. So I have to send, I think, a certain amount of tweets a year to maintain my account or something. So they're all
really?
Yeah, they're all, but they're all jokes. Listen, I personally, this is my opinion, and it might be offensive to some people. I think if you were still doing the same thing you were doing the same way you were doing it, 5 and 10 years later, kind of you failed. You didn't evolve, you didn't move on, you didn't improve. I shut my old blog down. I started a new one.
Right.
I stopped tweeting. I feel like I'm not the same person that I used to be, and I just don't want to be doing the same thing that I used to do over and over and over again. So easier said than done. A lot of people have trouble evolving, or they don't know what the next thing to do is, so they rest on their laurels and in the comfort of the old thing. I've always looked at that as being tragic. So I got to a point where I just said, from now on, I don't want to entertain a broad audience of anyone. I want to double and triple down on my own audience. So now We have our blogs. They're more like newsletters. They're very email-centric. You could still read it online, but most of the people consuming them are consuming it in their email box. That's brand new. We started that late last year, converted all of our blogs over to that format. It's the most personal version of keeping in touch with an audience. And any casual person can happen upon a blog or a social media account. If something is being delivered into your inbox, I'm assuming it's because you asked for it and you want it.
Sure.
So that's the audience that I talk to. On YouTube, it's our fans, it's our audience. You can't listen to a podcast by accident. It's not like flipping through the channels on a TV.
Right.
So that's somebody saying, I want this person delivered into my phone every week. And they might not listen to everything that you do, but that's an opt-in. So 4 years ago, I stopped entertaining people like a clown on a street corner, flipping a car wash sign upside down. And I decided I'm only talking to people that actually want to hear from me. I don't want an algorithm pushing me in people's stream and aggravating them if they don't like me. So that was kind of my own evolution. And every day, life is better now that I'm talking to people that actually want to hear from me versus just standing on a rooftop and screaming to everyone.
I do enjoy the pictures on Instagram, especially
thank you.
pictures too.
Thank you.
Well, still on X, even in the comments I make, I hear your name get brought up a lot. People they love to slam you on there. How do you get through?
I
that?
love the
'cause
people.
I get it too. I get slammed a lot too. And we know to ignore it, but
I mean, these people are unhappy with their own situation, and I know that for a fact because I was one of them.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through a period of life where they're not seeing the success that they think they deserve. The difference is some people do something about it, and some people are stuck there forever. I was that person who would throw rotten vegetables at somebody that I perceived as being more successful. I was bitter. I was angry. I did say to myself, that's an idiot. I'm smarter than that person. It's really, really frustrating. I think that once you have found some level of success, it's not that you're too good to be in that scene. It's that you need to start pulling back from that scene and spending more time with the new scene of people that you want to be around. Once you escape the Terror Dome, escape. Don't go back in and see how's it going.
So many horror movies went that way.
But these people are still fighting it out, and they're still trying to establish themselves, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to do and how they're going to do it. And I respect that, and I did that. But okay, that phase is over now. You don't go back because nobody wants to see you once you've become successful. And there are a few very, very, very successful people that still are daily contributors on Twitter. I don't understand why they do it. I don't understand what Mark Cuban is getting out of this. He doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. This
is the guy that won of all people that you know of. For some reason, he still wants to be in touch with that world of people that want to say these horrible things to him. Musk, I kind of get it. He owns the house. Yeah. It's like the casino you own. Ackman, I don't really get it. I think part of him just likes any kind of attention. Yeah. So there are a small handful of people that have been super, super successful that are still there every day. But here's what I want you to think about. There are millions of people in America making millions of dollars a year who wouldn't be caught dead going on any social platform and fighting it out with random strangers. That's the majority of people in this country. Your clients are not on Twitter. Yeah. They just aren't. Clients of Carson Wealth, clients of Ritholtz Wealth, they're not on Twitter. They're doing anything else but fighting with strangers. So
that's awesome. So building on that, kind of that next evolution, YouTube, right? You had Tom Lee. We've had Tom on before. What's the views on that? 200,000, 300,000? I mean, it's a lot, right?
For some reason, the algorithm loves Tom. They just
we all do.
I mean, we love.
We recognize that.
Well, so it's a lot. I mean, maybe my question. It's almost for he and I also. Yeah. What takes a successful podcast? What makes 200,000 views? Or maybe Tom Lee, but what are some of the magical things you guys have done to make obviously Compound and Friends so very successful? And then one more thing. I looked at mine. I'm over 60,000 views. I'm like top 10 views this year for all your podcasts. Little Ryan Detrick. I'm
You're
not
a star.
Tom Lee, but hey, not
you
bad.
go.
But,
No.
anyway,
You're a star.
thank you. But what's it take?
I think one of the things with YouTube let's just start with YouTube specifically. One of the things is that eventually everyone figures out how to do good thumbnails, how to do good titles. Everyone figures out that the algorithm likes it when you drop at the same time every week or the same time every day. Everyone figures these like tricks and hints and so you can optimize, but there's only so far optimization will get you because you're competing with everyone else that's optimizing in the same way. So there has to be some X factor that makes for repeat viewers who aren't being like growth hacked onto your videos. And so that is personality, and they have to connect with you personally, and that's how you rise above everyone else that's like really good at growth hacking. So you can only optimize to a point. At a certain point, people have to actually want to spend their time with you. And that's one of the things that people have a hard time accepting because they might not be good at YouTube per se. And I don't think we're great at it. I just think we're like good enough. And most of the people doing financial content are not that great. So as a result, we kind of rise above a lot of the crowd. But that's a big one. The second one is that if you just rely on stunt casting, like getting the biggest guest, you're gonna run out. You're gonna run out of those people really quickly because there aren't that many. There's one Tom Lee.
Yep.
There's one. And then how many times does he want to do your show? Does he want to come on every week? If not, then you better figure out really quickly how to build the show around the people that are the hosts and not just rely on the guests. And I think what the best hosts on YouTube shows do is they connect with the audience so much that it doesn't matter who they have on. And so you have a big guest, it'll obviously swing the audience up, but what do you do in week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in between your next big guest? That's the determinant of whether or not you have a show or you just have like a login and you could post stuff too. I think that's a really big thing.
No, that was great.
great.
One more quick comment. Obviously, the Compound and Friends is awesome, but I mean, Ben and the guys.
Animal Spirits.
Animal Spirits. Sorry.
Animal Spirits.
That's just they're hilarious.
Well, that's my favorite.
They're hilarious. They're just hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you are too, but those two together, it's just magical.
I tell everyone that's my favorite podcast.
I agree.
The one I'm not on. I love Mike and Ben. Their chemistry is hysterical. They're sort of almost like a married couple.
Yes.
Ben talks. Michael doesn't listen.
All the time.
Michael's movie takes are among the most horrendous you've ever heard. And Ben's got all these like weird quirks that very slowly start dribbling out. Like he's never drank coffee before, and all these really funny things. And Mike still can't believe some of the things that we learn about Ben very very quietly. So it's a great show. And obviously, I'm biased because they're my coworkers, but that's my favorite finance podcast.
Ryan Detrick doesn't drink coffee either.
No, I don't drink coffee either. That's true.
I'm always
I
drinking
only-
coffee,
I
and
only
he's getting
drink-
hot chocolate.
I stop at 2 steaks a day.
I guess it's
but,
just
you know,
not. I guess it's not that weird, but
When I say it, people look at me like something's wrong.
Oh,
with
no,
me.
Yeah.
I think it's
I get that weird.
but
look.
when you hear it for the first time, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So no, I'll get hot chocolate. We'll go give me hot chocolate.
No,
Yes,
no,
whipped cream.
I think he
yes.
said he never drank coffee. Like
Well,
he's never
well,
had a coffee or something
Maybe
like that.
twice in my life, but
No,
okay,
one thing
that's
I
about it,
appreciate
yeah.
with you guys is, I don't know, maybe it's by design, but you tell me if not, is you don't sell fear
No,
and pessimism.
no.
I'd
And
like
I
to think
don't-
we don't either, but
and I don't platform people that do, and I really don't care how many views I'm giving up by not putting these people on. I will not title videos in such a way like such and such is about to destroy your life or the meteor heading toward Earth. I just there's a limit to what I will do to get attention, and admittedly, I'm in search of attention my whole life. I'm on television. That should tell you a lot. So I'm not holier than thou, but there's a line. The line I won't cross is I don't respect people who sell newsletters or email alert products on the basis of I'm about to save your life if only you'll subscribe.
look at
That's
him
always
too.
it's always been gross to me, and not only do we not do that ourselves, we also will not support. And there's a lot of people who are, they have a big stature, and they're very one-dimensional. Every time they appear somewhere, it's to say something horrible is about to happen. And it's not that we won't put pessimists on I had Jeremy Grantham on.
Sure.
Okay? I've had plenty of people who they're pro-gold or they're anti-stock or
Pro-EM.
they are predicting some sort of calamity. I have no problem with that.
Sure.
It's when somebody turns that into their own cottage industry, scaring people. That's where my line is, and I'm not going to give those people my platform. They could do that somewhere else.
So again, this is episode 106 of Carson's Facts versus Feelings. Talk about anything and everything with Josh Brown. Josh, we have about 15 minutes left. I don't know if that's good or bad, but here's what.
It's just flown for me.
It is. So here's one. I mean, I don't know if you had this question before, but you're obviously on CNBC a lot. You mentioned it. Who's kind of a fun person when the cameras are off? That maybe you just didn't see this coming. I don't know. I mean, Judge, like, he was kind of hard on me before. I go on like every 2 weeks. He's lighting it up with me. Judge could be the one I see, like, maybe he's kind of fun. You turn the cameras off. Maybe I'm wrong, but talk to us
So
there.
Scott Wapner is, I think one of the best anchors, not just in finance, but like
He's tough. He is tough. You better be on your toes.
But this is what he does so effectively. He balances all of these big personalities 5 days a week, 2 shows a day. So 12 to 1, 3 to 4 Eastern. He's got huge personalities, people with strong opinions, people who could talk forever if you let them. He is equal parts. The Judge is very aptly named. He is equal parts referee, but then he also is really good at setting the stage for what the conversation's going to be about, because not everybody flipping on CNBC watches it all day. So we don't have these conversations that are so deep in the weeds that you had to have been watching for the last 2 weeks to understand what's going on. But they are sophisticated conversations. They do feature differences in opinion. It's not like a podcast. What we do is easy compared to what Scott does. He's got 4 people on the desk, plus people Skyping in from all over the place. And he manages all the personalities, all the segments, and keeps the conversation on track. And it's sometimes it can look easy to do, or people can look at that and just take it for granted. It is really, really hard to do what he does. Is he the most fun person off the air? No.
He's probably exhausted by the time it's over.
All right, the most fun person off the air, I think, is probably me. To be very honest.
There you go.
But I find that the people who are regulars on Halftime are all very authentically themselves. Everyone is exactly who you think they are, especially if they've been on the air for a long time. At a certain point, you can't hide the real you versus the TV you. So, and this is a good thing. So all of the people I do the show with are friends of mine off the air as well, and they are exactly what you think they are. There's just and this is a credit to Scott. He likes having authentic people who live what they talk about, and we don't have a show where people have different jobs when they're not on the air. Everyone that's on the air actually does what they are talking about.
Staying on that TV theme, you were in Billions too, which is one of my favorite TV shows.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, how was that? What was that experience like? Being compared to you're on CNBC, that's TV too, but then a show is different, the different takes and things like that. I'm curious to hear about Damian Lewis as well.
So, all right, well, let's work backwards. Damian Lewis is like one of the sickest actors of his generation. And I don't know, did you watch Band of Brothers?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I want to go back and.
So if you're a Damian Lewis fan, Band of Brothers was just one season. It was HBO. I think it was like 2000 or 2001. It's Steven Spielberg and I think Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks too.
Yeah. And it's just like one of the greatest television.
We have an announcement to make, Josh.
What do we got?
We always get a milkshake when we do something live. Thank you, Matt. So we have milkshakes. Where are they from, Matt? What do we have? Cold Stone.
Cold Stone.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
You
this
want
is
That's
our thing.
delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't say
Cheers.
no. He took a drink.
Cheers,
All
Matt.
right, thank you. Cheers.
Why?
All
Did
right.
people say no, I couldn't?
No. Well, sometimes.
I
The
definitely
Three
could.
Steak guy says, "Give me a milkshake." Yeah. No,
Anyways,
this
about
is
to go on a
fun.
tangent about
All right,
Band of
where were
Brothers.
we? Where were we?
Damian
Okay.
Lewis is great in that
Damian
show.
Lewis.
So on Billions, the goal of David and Brian, the producers and the writers and creators of the show, and a lot of people know them from Rounders, which is one of the best movies ever made, about cards and gambling and life. They wanted the show to have enough verisimilitude where their friends in real life who watch the show and work on Wall Street would be like, wow. They wanted to impress. They know a lot of hedge fund managers, bankers. So they wanted to make sure that those people would be sufficiently impressed by the level of discourse, the dialogue. The plots are different. The plots are like, yes, they're plausible, but not feasible, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
But
I
you
mean,
gotta,
it's a TV show.
At a certain point, you're not making a documentary. You have to make it entertaining.
Right.
So I think what they were striving for was, okay, this probably wouldn't happen, but if it did, this is how real hedge fund and bankers would be talking about it. And that was my job. I was a technical advisor, seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, and basically the writers would come up with a plot. I would jump in and say, yeah, that's definitely not, going to work.
Okay.
Or that will definitely work if you do this.
Right.
Then they'll write all the dialogue, and I'll read the dialogue and say, nobody would say it this way. Here's how they would say it. And that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. That was
sounds fun.
I got
Yeah.
to meet all the actors, and
That's cool.
yeah, it was very cool.
Next week, episode 107, we're joined by Libby Cantrell over at PIMCO talking about policy, the election. So, I know you're excited
are we
about
doing
that, one, right? Yeah, we have to. We have to. I think we have to. You ever talked to Libby? You ever had Libby on
Libby
your
was
show?
not on Billions,
You
so
had
I
Libby
don't
on
know if
your
that's
show?
I don't know how great of a show that's going to be.
There you go. You ever talked to Libby? She's great.
No, we don't know each other, but I'm aware of her.
Anyway, okay, so Libby's great. And then after that, on Halloween, we are doing a live stream. Sonu and I a live stream in the afternoon.
In
Who are
costume?
the guests? Yeah, well, we got some costumes.
yeah,
Who are the
yeah.
guests, Sonu?
I'm trying to put him in a special costume.
Yeah.
But Neil Dutta from Renmac and
we love
Skanda
Neil.
Amarnath from Employ America.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so that'll be an awesome live stream on Halloween. More details to come. We'll put some details in the show.
Do you normally
notes
do
there.
promos in the middle of a conversation? Is this how we always
I
do
don't
it?
know. When the milkshakes show up, Josh, I just start talking. But I
Was
was
a
gonna,
milkshake commercial break?
Yeah, we do what we do.
That throws us off track
We've
anyway.
got 10 minutes. It's amazing. Yes. 10 minutes left. You mentioned movies. One of the things I was going to ask you. It's spooky season, Halloween season. Obviously, you like movies, and maybe I'm hitting you. You didn't see this one coming, but favorite scary movie? It is Halloween. Like some movie you watch every year.
Oh my
or
God,
what do you
I'm
think? What do you think?
obsessed with the Conjuring
Okay.
cinematic universe.
Yeah.
I love all of those movies, and I keep going back to them. I don't know why. But
good.
I think like in recent. So all right, here's my dividing line. I don't like the slashing stuff.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. I
You
don't.
and Michael don't see eye to eye there, do you?
No,
Yeah.
he's his. Dude,
I'm terrified of all that stuff. I don't go near.
dude, he
horror
will
movies.
he will like go to the movie theater for Halloween 19. Like he will like opening night. No. I like the more like creepy stuff that sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
I've seen like I like the A24 horror brand of horror movies, like Midsummer. You
I
ever
was
see
gonna
that?
say Hereditary is my favorite.
I mean,
the
that's-
same actor.
that's
That movie, like
crazy
you see
too.
it 3 times, and you realize different things are going
I love
on. And like The
movies,
Shining, right?
but-
Like The Shining,
yeah.
you watch Shining 5 times, and every time it's something different.
The Witch.
Yeah, another good one. Yeah.
Oh, my
Was it
God.
Elevation horror, I believe is what we call it.
I may not
So-
be able to sleep tonight.
Oh, boy, sorry,
after just
son.
thinking
Yeah,
Sorry.
about
I
it.
like
I'm just
the
terrified.
I like the ones that like sneak up on you, and they're more like cerebral, and it's not just jump scares
Like this podcast.
like this podcast. It
You get a
sneaks-
milkshake thrown at you. Then.
Yeah. I don't like just like blood and guts on the screen. It's not impressive to me. I know it's fake. So that's kind of where I am on horror
So we
movies.
probably have time for 2 more questions.
All
Sorry.
right.
Yeah, going
what
fast.
what were we not supposed to see in this? Talk about
That's
the
true.
book.
Let's talk about the book. Yeah.
Well,
book.
the book is titled based on one specific chapter called "You Weren't Supposed to See That," which was a blog post that I wrote after the pandemic, and the gist of the post was something that's like sort of sad, and nobody really seemed to want to say it out loud, but I basically chronicled how we went from the onset of the COVID emergency to a situation where everybody had money in their accounts. All of these businesses were rescued. All like the whole inflation crisis, and the takeaway was that we ran an experiment. None of us were asked permission in advance. None of us were like consulted on this, but we unwittingly ran the greatest socioeconomic experiment in history on the American public. And what we basically did was, we didn't mean to, we said, can we keep the economy running through a lockdown pandemic emergency and make it so nobody misses a bill, nobody doesn't have money, nobody has to fire anyone, and everyone has as much opportunity to do whatever they want. That was the experiment. And you had people leave their jobs, start new companies, move to a different place in the country,
Earn more.
drink all day long. You had people do 2 different jobs at the same time, full-time jobs, and get paid for both of them. You had people working while they were walking through Central Park, taking customer service call from AirPods. You had people basically never have to worry about paying their bills. Their bills were suspended in some cases. We filled their bank accounts with cash. We gave every business money. We gave Broadway money. We gave, like, it was just an endless, and so that experiment was, what happens if everybody's just good and nobody has to worry about anything? And the end result is it broke the economy in half. We had 9% inflation. We had employers at McDonald's begging people to come work for them. We had trucking companies that couldn't find drivers. We had ports where the flow of goods just literally stopped. It turns out the American dream cannot be attained by everyone all at the same time. It doesn't work.
I
The
love
whole
that.
thing broke.
Yeah.
So what we actually need, and this is the part you weren't supposed. So it was like, you didn't just see that. That never happened. Get back to work. Return to the office. No, you're not going to be a bread baker.
We need people mad and hungry. And
No, you're not going to have a bank account that's being refilled with cash while you make sourdough. That is not what you're going to do. You're going to go back to work. And that is the reality that dawned on me. And I think a lot of people didn't want to say this out loud. The only way the American dream works is if you have some people that have already attained it and a whole lot of people that are still working their way toward getting there. If everyone has all of that money and freedom at once, the system buckles and we can't have a society anymore. And so that was, you weren't supposed to see that because for a moment, that's where we were. Sometime circa early 2021, and people lost their minds. They were inventing things to trade. They were literally spending US dollars on JPEGs. There were people who were buying virtual land on the internet because it was next door to Snoop Dogg's virtual land on the internet. Therefore, it had value. I mean, we just completely lost it. We had riots in the streets. We had buildings on fire. It doesn't work if everyone has enough time and freedom to do whatever they want and they don't have to worry about money. So that's kind of like one of the big themes of the book, and that's why we call it that.
I love it. It's very deep. But
I don't know if you were looking for half-hour answers. But,
no, it's perfect. That was great.
How many books have you written now?
This is my 4th, but it's
Okay.
only my 2nd that I authored solo.
Okay.
So I did one with Brian Portnoy, and I did one with Jeff Mackey.
Sure.
So this one's all me.
Okay, well, congrats there, and definitely check it out, everybody. The one that got me was when Dave Portnoy looked out his window, when he was Davey Day Trader, by the way, saw a deer, and he goes, a deer, and he bought the stock deer, and it, like, worked. I said,
Not
"Oh,
a
boy,
recommendation,
this-"
by the
No,
way,
not
to
a
buy
recommendation
it.
at all, but it was crazy times. I mean, it's
what-
hard to believe, and then you have 22, where it's like a terrible bear market, and the worst year for bonds since George Washington was president. Maybe we had to pay the piper. When you got stuff like that happen in 21, it was like time to pay the piper, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't really think of it biblically like, oh, we're all sinning and we need to be punished. But I do think, like, to your point, there is a cycle, and when the cycle gets so silly that, like, anything that happens goes up, it obviously can't survive for a long period of time. So we did pay for it. 2022 was not a fun year if you were managing money, if you were managing clients. Nobody enjoyed that.
No.
Nobody wants to see that happen again. And to some extent, we worked off those excesses one way or the other.
Last one, Josh, and thank you. This has been awesome. We're huge fans, and this means a lot. Taking some time with us.
Oh, I love you
in
guys.
Omaha. This
So
is
thank
great.
you for having me.
So I think about like superpowers, right? Burt White talks about adaptability being a big superpower. This is me coming from left field, looking at you. I think one of your superpowers is you're not Ivy League. You're Long Island, right? You're just an average guy above that now. I don't mean
Is
to
this
put it
going to
that
go
way.
somewhere good? Or
I don't know. We'll see how you answer it. But, because what I'm getting at, like, I don't have a CFA. I'm not Ivy League. I mean, I think it's
don't have a
helped my
CFA
career.
either, so,
It's helped my career not thinking like everybody else. I mean, talk to us a little bit about, like, what your superpower is, and am I close with that, where you're just, you're just Josh.
Okay, so I think that's right. Authenticity goes a long way, period, in an absolute sense. But authenticity in an industry like finance, where people are, they mostly tie their compensation to how inauthentic they can be, how buttoned up and how
there you go.
formal and how serious. So I think by leaning into myself, I was able to stand out. But then it's not just enough to be like dropping F-bombs and like being willing to, be authentic. You actually have to back it up with something that's of value. So I like to think it's more than just, oh, this guy's like, he's funny and he's obnoxious, therefore he gets attention. That has to be wrapped around a message.
Okay.
And that message has to be something that's of value to the people receiving it. So I think the combination of providing value and doing it authentically is probably why all my stuff has like gone as far as it has, because if you just have something of value but you don't know how to get people to pay attention to it, it's a dead end. If you have no value but you're really good at getting attention, you're going to get attention and you're not going to like what comes as a result of that form of attention. So I think combining those two things is really powerful, especially in an industry that has historically been as inauthentic as ours has.
Yeah, I mean, so much truth to that. I mean, being true to yourself, right? And
Yeah, but I think being true, but then I think also being heard. Being true and being heard.
Love it. Well, we're going to end it there, Josh. You're a legend in our industry. You're a friend.
Do you want my year-end S&P target, or what are we doing here?
No,
Hey, yeah,
no.
a 10-year yield target. No.
Where's M2 going? What about the LEI? No. Yield curve calls? Anything? Touch on that? Yeah, I know. I'm teasing. No, but we really appreciate this. Thank you for everything you do for the industry,
Thank
for
you, guys.
average investors, for retail clients, obviously for RIAs and advisors, and just the voice that you give so many people, because you have a big microphone, and it goes a long way. And we just are really thankful that you took 45 minutes with us, and we gave you a milkshake. So, with
Fair.
yeah, see, next week when Libby joins us, it's not face to face. Well, maybe we got to
May
mail
still have
her
to
a
get a
milkshake.
milkshake.
But no,
She ain't drinking a milkshake. Get out of here.
she's not.
All right.
She's not. But
Hey, everybody, this has been Facts versus what is
Facts
it?
versus feelings.
Facts versus Feelings with my friends Sonu and Ryan. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. We've got Libby
Cantrell.
Cantrell.
From PIMCO.
Stick around.
All right.
Thanks. See you by next
How'd
week.
we do?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Josh Brown.
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize for earlier
What I said.
allowing Ryan to mistitle Burt White, who is
Our boss.
who is the CEO,
Yeah, he is.
not the president.
Yeah.
Ryan apologizes as well.
Sorry,
We won't let it
compliance.
happen again.
Never again, Bert. Sorry.
Information provided on Facts versus Feelings with Sonu Varghese and Ryan Detrick are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. The statements and opinions of show guests may not be reflective of CWM LLC or its affiliates. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested in directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Guests on Facts versus Feelings are not affiliated with CWM LLC.